What up, everybody? Welcome to Talk Hard Podcast. I am Marty Norman, the one and the only. And thank God for you guys. I am the only. My man over here.
Brian Gordon.
Ready
to talk about politics.
Big words. And look, man, I will not talk about politics because I am not running for office this year. I will next year, though.
Next year. For what?
Well, if...
Again, we go politics now. What, like governor, senator, president?
I'm going all the way to the top, bud. You know me.
All right.
All the way to the top.
El Presidente.
Yeah, I mean, guarantee you I can. Never mind. Never. See, you get me talking, and then I'm gonna start talking, and the next thing you know, everybody hates Marty because he talks and he's.
Why would they hate you?
Because that people love to be victims, and I would say something, and it would victimize them.
Okay, we already talked about this one over here.
Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen.
This is amazing. I mean, there's a few things we can talk about. We can talk about Russia. Oh wait, is that politics?
I don't know if you consider that politics, but I tell you what about Russia. I tell you what, I don't know anything because I don't follow, because I don't watch the news. The only thing I know about what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, the only fact that I know is if you've seen it on that boob tube that you call television and your news media, you are not knowing, you're not getting any of the truth. The one thing I know about anytime that we've gone to war, it has nothing to do with what they've told us on the news. Zero, zilch, not a freaking thing about it has anything to do with what they tell us on the news. That's the only thing I know.
A drill sergeant in the Army said to me, war is not about killing people. That is a byproduct.
I get that. And war is not... What's the biggest money-making business in the entire planet? War.
Well, yeah. I mean, okay, so there's...
War.
It's political, whether anybody wants to...
Not talking political.
But it is. It is political. War is political. It's a move for power. And in the book that I've already mentioned, the one talking about watching the patterns of history, he predicted, and I'm trying to find it, that the next big move should be Russia.
Well,
because they want to raise the value of their currency. How do you do that? You take control over things such as they're one of the biggest, well, not one of the biggest, they're a big supplier of oil.
Right.
The Ukraine.
That we made sure, this country recently has made sure that we are dependent upon other people's oil.
I believe it was like uranium or whatever, lithium, like parts of the batteries also when they see us making
I like
a big
lithium.
move. They see us making a big move for the electric. And
That's
so
the drug coming
how do
out
you
of it.
raise your value when America's going electric?
See, right. Well, here's my thing. Like, as I just said, anything they're telling you guys, the mass media, the people out here, just sheep in America that just watch that thing every night at 6 o'clock and is like, oh, and believe every word they say. They're not telling us the truth of what's going on. My question is this. Just like every war that's happened, it wasn't because of what they told me. I don't give a shit what anybody says. And this is not political. This is me saying what I believe. Us going to Afghanistan and fighting the Taliban had zero to do with anything other than heroin and oil. Zero. But this country will not back our government if the government was honest and said, look, we're going to go over there because we want their oil and we want their heroin. Well, this country's going to be like, F you, we're not going to war. So what happened? They had to create something. And here I go with my conspiracies. But it's not a conspiracy theory.
But it's not, because people need to understand that the medication that you are taking is a synthetic form of
opioids.
Derived from heroin.
Yes. So opioid plants.
It's not like they just make this crap up. It actually comes from, like, they actually purchased heroin to make pain pills. It's just synthesized and done all the fun scientific stuff to it and made it into a pill form. But that's what it is.
Yeah. And not to mention, I mean, if there's anybody doubts me on this, if anybody doubts, like, when did this heroin, quote unquote, heroin epidemic happen? And how do you suppose it happened? How did you suppose that everything that I was out in the streets, right? I was in all this shit. Everything was cocaine, good cocaine, methamphetamines, alcohol. There was some heroin, sure, why not? And then all of a sudden, like, heroin is literally everywhere. Yeah. Every person is and that happens from there's several different ways that happen. It happened a lot to do with the pharmaceutical companies and pushing their Oxycontins, and they really, they were, and there's an even bigger conspiracy, because if you think about that, big old pharma saying, okay, let's get everybody hooked, and then we'll have to take it away because you guys are going to enforce some laws and we'll take it away. But guess what's going to be there at the exact same time?
Of course.
Cheap ass heroin.
And it was always there, right? Like it
blew up.
Active? Oh, of course it blew up.
It blew up. And it blew up during the exact time that we're like in Afghanistan and we're farming. We're patrolling heroin fields in the Middle East. Middle East, sorry.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And the biggest cash crop in the Middle East is opiate plants. Right. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence that we went there and we got all the stuff that we wanted. And it's not a coincidence at the very same time that heroin is blowing up on these streets. It's not a coincidence at the very same time the FDA and the federal regulations is cracking down on pill-pushing doctors who are pushing Oxycontin. It's none of this shit is coincidence. And the same thing with this. I have questions like why, and this is my number one question when I found out when people, it's blowing up Ukraine and Russia, and talk about World War III and all this stuff. Like, I don't buy anything that they're telling me. But my first question is, what natural resource do they have in Ukraine that somebody's trying to get? That was my first thing. And, that's me being ignorant of the situation.
Palladium, platinum. Okay, so Russia...
Platinum's a pretty good mineral.
Russia and the Ukraine, right? They both lead the global market according to Google, so don't fact check me because I'm just reading it off the same place you get it. Is metals such as nickel, copper, and iron, and they are largely involved in the export and manufacturing of other essential raw materials like neon, palladium, and platinum.
So somewhere along the lines...
But they also export like clay and all kinds of stuff. Like, so my wife does crafts, and all of a sudden we're having this clay issue.
Right.
What happens when
what happens... Okay, so how you inflate a market? Mm-hmm. You make it rare. How do you make it rare? You go to war with the country who's supplying said country. So here's my conspiracy theorist. Okay. It's going in my head like, okay, so some company or the United States has bought 100 billion shares of a natural resource that's over there.
Right.
And now they want to inflate it. What happens?
Oh, for sure.
Like maybe they bought clay. I don't know. Maybe they bought 100 billion shares of clay. And now they want to inflate that.
Well, I do find it a little interesting that most of our politicians go into government making average money and are now at like hundreds of millions of dollars in net value. How do you do that?
How do you make $200,000 a year living in a $5 million house? It doesn't.
Right.
The math's not there.
Let's do the math. I'm not an idiot, but here's the thing with the media, and this was what I was explaining to somebody that wanted to be controversial with me. I was having a blast with this one.
I love people. I love people.
Because this is the reality of the media, and I'll put it in a simple form after I say this. You are hearing their side, meaning their narrative, and everybody's like, narrative, everybody says narrative. Okay, let's put it this way. Has anybody ever watched a police chase happen on the news?
Yeah.
When the person comes on and they're talking about, oh, this person must be a thug, and this person, oh, and look at the passenger, they must be scared. They could be dating. We don't know because we're not in the damn car.
Well, they could be going to the hospital in an emergency.
We're hearing their version as they live narrate.
Right.
That's what and hey, freedom of the press, do what you want to do. But my point is, if you're not there, you don't know. So they send somebody over there to get information, and then they're still hearing a specific side of the story because they don't have time to like interview the whole entire government while they're at war. I mean, let's be honest. We can only get a certain side of what's happening at all times. And so we're taking our version of what's happening and we're giving a narration to it. Well, and I understand that. But
you're giving credit to the national news media because I think it's more diabolical than that. Like, they know, but they want to tell a narrative that will put Americans in fear. I mean, that's their number one job.
See, I struggle with that one because
they just want us in fear.
I have a hard time.
They want us to buy freaking toilet paper right now.
I have a hard time believing that whoever's on top is so powerful that you can get so many people at the bottom to tell a very specific story.
It's easy.
Like, on people, I still want to believe in mankind and humanity and believe that people have morals on some level and that they actually believe what they're preaching.
Nope. Well, it's easy to manipulate somebody, you know, through...
That's what I'm saying. They're getting their information from somewhere else and they're hearing their version of it. And I do believe that like attracts likeness, right? So if you're far left, far right, that's not the point of this. I don't care about either side. The point is, if I am far left and I'm having a conversation with you, then there's a good chance that if you go tell someone else the story, it's going to sound far left because you're getting your information from me.
True.
So when you have like-minded people that are all telling a narrative that sticks to one side of the party, as it will, then it's going to sound that way from the top to the bottom, and that's how they do it. I believe these people genuinely believe they're pushing out the right information because they're educating America. What I'm really struggling to understand is if we're not fighting in the war, why the hell do we care so much? I care about people, but we're not doing anything about it.
Yeah, our government don't care about people, bro. Did I say that? I did.
No, I care about what's going on over there, but let's break down again. Here's what I see, and I'm gonna play.
We don't even know.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and not even devil's advocate. I'm gonna play the mastermind of the conspiracy theories. We are now coming into what they call the endemic phase.
The end game.
Which means the pandemic is starting to do what normal viruses do that people have been talking about since the word
they
go.
Fade away?
They evolve and they become just like a livable virus.
Or does the narrative that they wanted to push is not so important no more? So, because I guarantee you the numbers are still exactly the same, but they're not pushing that because they found a new narrative that they want to push.
Well, no, they can't push it anymore because when you watch the clickbait, meaning the ratings, people don't want to watch it anymore. They're over it.
Right.
People are over it. They're like, look, I get it. Yeah. And now there's too many other things happening, right? Where there's people, look, I'm not against vaccines. You can vaccine yourself front, right, left, center, all the way to the moon and back. I could care less.
Take a shot a day.
I could care less. But if the facts are coming out that are becoming a lot more questionable, what do? You
change the subject. Right. And here's my point to that, too, and why I think it's more diabolical, because these types of things are going on in the world every day.
100%.
And then we pick one because it's the timing. We pick one because, okay, all right, guys, shit's over. Let's pick a different topic because we got to get everybody involved again. We got to get people watching. We got to get people scared. We got to get people buying toilet paper.
Right.
You know what I mean? So all right. Here's something. Let's go after that because dude, same thing. Like in the world, there is mass tragedy every single day, all day, and it's just what they choose to focus on because that's what they want to. And I'm sorry, the same people own all of the news medias that you see, your national news media. It's the same people own them. You can actually look that up. You can fact check me on that shit because I've seen the writing on the wall.
So we go into the war, right?
Okay.
And now we're in this phase again. I'm still trying to understand why the hell we are so focused on it, like it was the Olympics 2 weeks ago.
Because there's a natural resource a natural resource that we want. That's my opinion, and that's strictly opinion. Because I am ignorant to all this situation that's going on. I'm as ignorant as most of you on here because I get my facts from TikTok and Facebook.
Well, see, here's the thing: is I've actually
you probably look into it.
I've been friends with world traders,
okay,
that actually understand the reason why we try to get along and the NATO agreement and what happens with our trade order and how all this actually works because you can be self-sustaining at a certain level, but there's also another need where you just can't.
Can I point out one fact?
Yep.
This is a fact that some of you may not know. And God, this is so deep in the rabbit hole. I'm tippy toeing the line of who I want to
piss off.
But then, all right, so check this one fact out, and fact check me if you want. So we have a world banking system.
Mm-hmm.
We do. We have a world banking system, and the people that own the people that control the world, not just this country. We talk about Elon Musk and what's his name, Bezos. Is that correct pronunciation? Bezos. Yep. We talk about them being the richest people in the world. Mm-hmm. These mother effers don't. They are pocket change to the people who actually run the world. The $300 billion that Elon has is nothing compared to the people who actually run the world. There is 5 families who own 80% of the world's currency. 80% of the world. Put that in your head. The $300 billion that Elon has is nothing. They piss on that. All right? So the world, and they own the world banking system. These are the same people that own the world bank. I'm gonna get killed. They're coming after me. No, I'm nobody. But anyway, they own. So the countries that will not be part of the world banking system, one I know is to be Russia, and one I know is that the media has made it's been a frog in water. Like they can't just come out and say Russia's bad, okay? Right? They've been telling us, they've been spoon feeding us how Russia is a fear that we need to fear, and if we mess up, Russia's going to come after us. But I think the whole problem with the people who run the world, they will not be part of the world banking system. Period. So of course. And I believe China is on that list too. I'm not 100% on that one.
So you've got.
So if you will not conform to what the world leaders want, well, again, conspiracy theorist. Yes, I am. I get it. You may disagree. I don't care. I may disagree next week. Who knows? World Bank.
Yes. So I'm following you on the World Bank. I'm sticking to the war. What I'm struggling to understand is if we were the XL pipeline got shut down because of the damages that it was doing, right? Like we're ruining, right? But
quote,
it's okay.
Unquote.
It's okay to not ruin us, but we're going to get oil. And if you guys are not noticing the massive spike in gas prices, guess what that means? We're still using the same amount of fuel. We just have to get it from somewhere else.
How much is it a barrel now?
Why is it okay to ruin Ukraine but not Canada to America? Like, why? What makes us so much better? They act like it's because we're not using fuel. That's bullshit.
We have an abundance from what I understand, an abundance of natural resources that would last us 1,000 years.
What do you think runs all those tanks? It's not batteries.
They are. Well, Elon may be in the mix of making some Tesla tanks.
So here's something that somebody brought up to me, and I haven't fact checked this myself yet.
Tesla tanks.
But what somebody brought up to me is, have you ever noticed that when your batteries go bad, you can't just throw them in the trash because of a very specific way that you have to deal with them?
Because of the lithium, I guess, right?
So it's because of the toxicity to them. We still have to deal with them. So what do you do when all these car batteries go bad?
Well, I know.
You have to mine pretty crazy to get car batteries. So while I understand the fuel is different, you still have to mine and destroy the earth. We're talking about 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, in my personal opinion. But that's just my opinion on it because there was a study done by some people a long time ago talking about the biggest polluters are actually like textile manufacturers.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
And I don't know about anybody out there, but I'm not flying in a battery-operated plane. So
Tesla,
those things burn a ton of fuel, and I'm not going up in a battery-operated. I don't care if Elon Musk was flying it. I'm not going up in a battery-operated plane.
God, just know this, man. Our country, the people who run this country particularly, that want currently, they did not shut down Exxon, the pipeline, because of their love for our Mother Nature. It didn't happen. It wasn't that. I'm going to tell you that right now. It wasn't that. It's a political stance.
Here's what it does. Because we can't mine that material here, when we become a strong purchaser, it raises our value to another country, because that's where we have to get it from.
Woo! So we're important to Russia.
So we're important to a lot of the other countries that are needing us to be one of the leaders in the electric. Because I find it also very interesting that a lot of states, California being one of them, and I've seen a study on this too, that will tax you when you go solar.
Yeah, California, of course, will be that.
How do you go energy dependent and then have to pay for free energy? Like, how does that... Somebody wants to race. Look, it's just a Porsche. Calm down.
They thought
it's not that fast.
They got it beside your Porsche, and they're like, "Wow." Welcome to Indianapolis, ladies and gentlemen.
I love it. Okay, so getting off the political fun stuff, because
but
okay, go ahead.
I want to close with that. Like, guys, please, if you watch the news, if you watch the shit on here, and you watch, just know that the people who run these things and the people who, like, if you want to know anything about something, do your own research on it. I guarantee you, if you spend an hour on what's going on in Russia and Ukraine, which I refuse to, I'm sorry, that's just me. I may later on, I may not, I don't know. But if you spend an hour researching on what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, I guarantee you'll come out with a whole, you'll just be like looking at our news and the people that watching our news, and you'll just be like, man, you're all idiots. And I'm not saying that you're idiots. I'm just saying that's probably what you'll say. Because it's everything, I promise you that it's not true. Whatever it is, it's not. I'm not saying it's not bad. I'm not saying it's not tragic. I don't really know what's going on there. And all of you are going to be like, well, you don't deserve to talk on it. I'm not talking on it. I'm saying if you want to know what's really going on, do some research on it away from CBS and CNN and all that horse shit. Okay? That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, stop getting it from go ahead, get it from the media, but then compare it to the other one, and you compare it to somebody else that's telling a story, and then compare it, and then make your own conclusion. Here's my problem with all of it in the media in general, is they all, when they're speaking, it's like, you think I'm dumb.
Yeah. You
literally think that I'm just going to buy into your horse shit because you said it, and I'm just like, okay.
That's what people do, though. That's what I talk to many people, and they're just like, so... my barbershop, I mean, just everywhere I go, they watch this news, and they're just like, and they're having conversations about it, and all they're doing is regurgitating what they just heard off the news. And I'm just like, and you guys, like, I know that I have no idea, but you definitely don't either. And it just sucks that somebody will hear that on that damn news and just be like, that's a fact. That's really what's going on. And it's just like the whole COVID thing and the numbers and this and that. Like, it's,
what I'm curious about, because this is in our Constitution. Hold on, this just triggered something for me, and I was just like, if I go on the internet and tell something about someone, like the Kyle Rittenhouse is suing people because of defamation, right?
Is he really?
Yeah. I heard he's suing like...
he found a way to get money.
He's suing one of the media channels, and then who is on...
Not Fox, I guarantee that.
They said something about... the 5 women that get together, Joy Behar.
Oh, that
right?
one show, yeah.
And then somebody on that show, I heard them mention the show, but he's suing somebody from that show because they kept calling him a murder, right? But they're not a media channel, so they don't have freedom of the press.
I think only free press.
We'll dig into that another time, because I'm really curious on why freedom of the press is part of our Constitution, but you can't go out and say what you want to say unless you have press.
No, I think you got to have
certification.
I think you got to have
registered journalist. Somebody go ahead, comment below. Tell me how that works, because I'm curious.
You just got to have facts.
I don't know that I'll believe
you got to have sources and facts.
Okay.
Wherever you get those from, but you got to source your facts, and your facts could be from Brian Gordon.
Oh, geez, don't listen to me. I'm definitely,
as long as you source it.
I'm not a doctor yet, and
Yeah, but to call somebody a murderer, like when they haven't been convicted of it.
I'm cool with the fact that you should be able to, but why can't we sue CNN for lying to me about half the crap that's going on because they're protected by the Constitution?
Let's do that. They gotta have sources for their facts.
They should.
Let's get a fact checker on the fact checkers, please.
Okay.
Anyway, news. I went down a rabbit hole, and anyway, I did tote the line. God. I did well. I didn't say what I. I'm not gonna do what everybody thinks I'm gonna do.
Just freak out. Ah! Okay. So, what specifically? This kind of triggered another thing, and Chris brought it up earlier. But depression.
What's that? What's that you say?
So what I want to know is, are you depressed or are you just having a bad day?
God, and I want to
say bad year, right?
Like, a bad year, bad week, bad month.
I've been on all of the medication, some by choice and some because the doctor told me I should.
Yeah,
mostly by choice, but I definitely had a few doctors that recommended a few things.
Like, hey, buddy,
like.
You might want to give us a shot.
Leaving there on all these medications because I was just not in the right place. Was I chemically imbalanced and had an actual? Now I do believe that there is chronic depression that is caused by traumatic events and a lot of trauma to the brain. But here's my thing, and there are studies. I'm not going to announce them because I want you all to actually do the research.
They won't.
Here is the theory and proven fact, and you guys, I'll give you topics that you could research and then go do your own research, but you are not genetically predisposed to anything. Genes load the gun.
Hate you.
Genes load the gun. You have to pull the trigger.
Oh, this God, is my brain's going.
There are.
So wait. Yeah. Genetics is like all like what a genetic is, what a gene is a predisposition. It's something that's ingrained in you.
Which means if you do nothing about it, there's a good chance it'll happen.
Okay, I can dig that part. But to say it isn't existent, I'm having trouble with it.
What I mean is, like, when somebody says, well, I was just predisposed because it runs in my family. Okay, if you just went on believing that, then you're damn right it's going to happen.
Okay, so
then there are the people that say no, because they either just chose a different path subconsciously because they just have a different belief system in their head. There were a set of twins in one of these studies that had the same biological DNA.
So
right?
Same genetic predispositions.
So the name genetic predispositions worked in the same factory together for many, many years. One got cancer from the factory. The other one didn't. Explain that one to me. Most would say you were just genetically predisposed to get cancer. But why didn't the other one? Because they live a different lifestyle. Because he has different belief systems.
I was going to say, I need more context than just that.
Look it up.
I would need more context. Like, what's that person doing? What's that person eating? What's that person? Is he working out? Is he?
Well, here's
did
the thing.
They grow up in the same environment? Did
we go down to we're blaming the factory, right? We're blaming the factory because there's cancer-causing chemicals in the factory. So we're just going to go ahead and blame the factory for it. Yet the big problem was, why isn't the other twin, who is genetically identical, in the same situation? So what this doctor is studying, and I'm not mentioning things because I want people to actually do their own research. I just don't want to be the person spitting crap out there, and that's what happens. I want you to do your own research on this.
We like convenience.
So do some research on this. Here's the reality of your life. If you know that you have a genetic predisposition because of a family situation, whether it be cancer, heart disease, or whatever. Depression. Take the step and the action now to change your life.
I think you're onto something. Again, it will go back to what we know and what we talk about a lot of, and that's the belief system. You know? I believe that I can overcome anything if I'm willing to do the work, to take care of myself, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. I know that I can literally, the ability is in me to and I even want to go further because we talked about this on like episode 2 maybe, where we talked about I believe that human ability to cure themselves from cancer. I believe it's actual thing. I believe you can do it. Do I believe I can do it? No. Do I believe the majority of people can do it? Absolutely not.
I believe you don't know whether or not you can until you get cancer.
Right.
Because that's the moment where you get to make a decision.
I also, the flip side of that,
or something else happens to you. You were just mentioning cancer, but there's the study of the girl who had a hysterectomy, whatever. She lost half her brain. And they were like, you're not even going to walk out of the hospital. Like 2 weeks later.
It's not hysterectomy, by the way. That's in the stomach.
Hemispherectomy or whatever the hell it is, where they take out half your brain. Again, I'm not a doctor yet. Give me some time. I'll read a book later.
But here's the thing, though. Like, cut him some slack, y'all. Like, here's the flip side of the coin is, I believe you can think your way into cancer as well.
100%.
You know what I mean? I believe the mind is the strongest, most powerful, most untapped, most misunderstood thing, I don't know how else to describe it, thing in the universe. And I believe it has the ability to do amazing things, to tap into spiritual worlds, to do this, to do that. And, of course, we use like, 6 to 9% of our brain or something like that. And we understand even less than that of the brain.
It's it's a hemispherectomy.
Hemispherectomy.
Man.
It's in the hemisphere.
Too many syllables. And blah, blah, blah.
I get where they get that. It's in the outer hemisphere.
It's the active parts of the brain, right? So our subconscious is a smaller section of the back of the brain.
Okay.
We have the prefrontal cortex, which takes up about 40% of our brain, and we just don't use it because it takes a lot of energy. This will give you a headache if you try to stay actively thinking all day long. Like, it genuinely will give you a headache because it takes a lot of blood flow and a lot of pressure to do that, which is why we become habitual by just everyday life, which is why learning to write your name and doing all these things was annoying. But here's the thing, and I mentioned this before. If you were left-handed like myself and someone cut off your left hand, you would learn how to write with your right hand real fast because you don't have another choice. That's the difference, is when you get put in a position where you have to make a choice, the brain is super powerful. What people fail to understand is it's just as powerful without you losing your hand. It just takes you making a conscious decision to do something about it. So you can either do it because you don't have a choice, or you can do it because you just want to.
Yeah.
It's the same brain. It doesn't function differently because you lost your hand. It's not like that was the actual thing. It was you making a different decision based on the fact you didn't have a choice, and now you have to learn something else versus I just want to.
Well, somewhere along the line, like people, talk about fitness and working out and becoming healthy and eating healthy. I think what you're talking about is like priority. Like somewhere along the line, you became okay with the fact that you're overweight. You became okay with the fact that you're not intelligent, or that you don't know how to do this, or you don't have that certain skill. You have somewhere along the lines became okay with it, because if you weren't okay with it, you would change it. Now, I believe that there's a battle going on inside my mind at all times. Like, I'm not okay with it. This sucks. I got this love handle over here. I don't like it, but if I was that unokay with it, I would have done something, I would do something daily to make sure it's gone. And then I would do something daily to maintain that. So somewhere along the lines, we become okay with the fact that, okay, I do want to learn to write left-handed, but it's not a priority until I lose my hand.
Right.
And that's the thing, and that's the sad thing about it. Things in life that we want. There's this level, like somebody says, I want something. I'm like, okay, how bad do you want it? Because if you just
my question is always why.
Okay, well, why? Like, I want to learn to left. Why do you want to learn to write left-handed? Why? Just to force myself to do it, I guess, would be a good answer for that. Just to see if I could. But what was I saying?
We're talking about the way that people are wired, right? And so it's, again, when you get to the psychological aspect of things.
Oh, the level of wants.
We allow all these things outside of us to get in the way, which is why we are so attracted to things like the 30-day diet. And because it's easy, it's convenient, and someone else said I could do it.
And then somebody wrote it down. Step-by-step process.
And the person who actually came up with this is probably walking around at 6% body fat and doesn't have any sort of weight issue. And what I get irritated by is the medical problems that can be caused by crash dieting. But we're getting way off topic at this point. Depression. Are you depressed, or are you just having a bad day?
Well, let's talk about that too. Because I deal with people in recovery or people in addiction. You know, that's what I do. I help people get into treatment every day, all day. I could put them into treatment. I put them into sober living. I do this. Depression is always a thing for us addicts and alcoholics. There's, again, different levels of said depression. And there's I'm sad because I lost somebody. And then there's I have everything in the world. And I think about killing myself every single day. You know, that's chronic depression, I believe. But I always, when it comes to, and this is where I was getting at with the wants, like there's different levels of wants. You say you want to get sober. Okay, great, awesome. Let's get you there. What are you willing to do to get there? And most people are willing, I just want to stop. Okay. All right, that's a start. Right? I just want to stop using alcohol and stop using drugs. Okay, but here's what it's going to take to get you to that, to get you through the physical withdrawals, to get you through with the emotional withdrawals, to get you through the other side of that. Here's what it's going to take to get there. And here's what you're going to do for the rest of your life to maintain it. And that looks different for every single person. Some people, it's going, for myself, I'm a 12-stepper. I go to meetings. I work with a sponsor. I got sponsees. I do this. I do that. I work with other individuals. The gym is a major part of my recovery. But in the same thing with depression, I ask people, I think, just so depressed. Okay, great. What are you doing? And they line out their day for me. And I'm just like, holy shit. And they line out what they eat. They line out what their activities are. They line out. I'm like, yeah, you're depressed. I mean, you literally spent 4 hours on the couch today. You have all these goals in your head that you want to acquire, but you have done not one thing, not one step in order to do that. I tell you what, I'm depressed as shit, and I don't have chronic depression. Okay, I don't have actual clinical chronic depression. And I'm not speaking on that when I'm saying this, but I'm speaking on the typical person that I work with who's kind of struggling with depression or sadness or just feeling down.
So I want to reframe that for a second. Just 1 second. I call that because I felt that way at one point in time until I realized I was just bored. Excuse my language, but I was just bored.
Thank you. No purpose, right? I mean, that's where I would go with it. Like, what is your purpose, and are you living up to that purpose?
Right. So motion creates emotion. So
right.
Get up and move, and it'll activate the body to... That's why, like, if you see people that are in a sales meeting, like, you want to see some of the best salespeople in the world, and there's a reason why, like, the stock trading floor doesn't have a lot of seats.
There's no seats, yeah.
Because motion creates emotion, and if you want to get your brain to get active, get up and move around.
Move it.
Like, get up and move around. It's going to rush some blood and energy, and your body's going to start thinking about all the other things it has to do, and you get in this creative space, and boom, now you're off and you're firing.
I call that a zone.
Yeah.
Get in your zone.
Yep.
And when I explain to people, when they lay out their day for me, I'm like, okay, well, you watch TV. You have all these things in your head that you want to acquire, but you haven't done one single step to acquire it. And then at the end of the day, you look back and you feel, it's not really you look back because most people don't. You feel down. You feel low. You feel like hopeless. And there's like, oh, it's just like, and I get that. I understand that. I live that way and I still can get that way. But when I do certain things, and I look at my life and I go to the gym and I get up on time and I get up with intentions and I live my purpose and I go after this and I got this meeting and this meeting. I'm supposed to make these 14 calls and I make them all and I do this. At the end of the day, I feel content, and content is the opposite of that, I believe. When you, and I say this about purpose all the time, when you find your purpose in your life and don't necessarily find it, when you become aware of it, like you will never be, it's just like they say, like when you do something you love for work, for your income, you never work a day in your life. And that's kind of how this is. When you are on your life's purpose and you're knocking shit out and you're going and you're acquiring and you're getting your goal and you're doing this and you're making mistakes and you're learning from it. Oh, that sucked. Okay, I won't do that. All these different things. You won't be depressed because you're doing something. A body in motion stays in motion. It's just like, you know what I mean? When you're sitting on the couch eating potato chips, wanting to go to the gym but haven't gone to the gym, wanting to call this person but didn't call this person, you were supposed to go to this meeting but you were late, so you had to reschedule it. When you're doing all these things and all these disappointments and all you have is just disappointments in yourself, yeah, man, yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, so I've been talking to a lot of people lately because I got into this whole life coaching, and before diving deep into it, I was trying to understand people a little bit more, and just in general of just talking to people, the big common denominator of what I was hearing was what's wrong with me. Like when I was like, what would you want if we were to go into a coaching session? I would want to know what's wrong with me. That's what I hear. And my first question that comes from that is, who said something's wrong with you? And I always get, well, you know, there was this time when, you know, like I was in this abusive relationship and this person used to always tell me that I was fat or that I was ugly or that I wasn't good enough or that I wasn't this. And, you know, some people, it goes all the way down to like, and I want to encourage parents out there to think hard about the questions you ask your children and the way you address things, in the way that you say things. Meaning, if you say to your child, let me show you a better way to do that, that makes your child feel most of the time like they don't know what they're doing, because if your way's better, then my way must suck. You got to be careful in the words you choose.
I'm happy with that parent, because most parents would be like, yeah. You know, at least they're giving some time to that kid. You know what I mean?
For sure. But I still want people to be careful with, because that's subconscious and your kid's going to grow up a certain way. But what I mean is, when you're a child, you don't know any different than the outside world is actually what shapes you, because you don't have the ability yet to really make the decisions based on experience.
Yeah.
But once you do, and you still allow, again, it's all of these outside things controlling your inside environment. Right. I heard this person, and this person say this, and that's why I feel this way.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I'm still trying to know who had the authority to tell you how to feel.
Make you believe it.
Right? So what you did was you made a decision to say, I agree with you.
Somewhere along the lines. It wasn't a conscious decision.
Well, 10 people said it. It must be true. Bullshit.
Maybe those 10 people are assholes.
Maybe you need 10 different people around you, right?
Oh, come on with that. Yes.
Like, we keep leaving the outside world to run our lives. And that's the crazy thing about it, is I don't believe in coincidences. So we've talked about it. I'm going to go ahead and say it. Bought a Porsche yesterday. Not a big deal. It wasn't like
I did too.
It wasn't like this stupid, crazy, expensive thing. I got a good deal on it. I made a decision. But here's, again, I don't believe in coincidences. So my wife wanted a bus. We put it on our vision board, and we focus on it every day. We spend time to look at it. It's in our room. Even though it may be for just a few minutes in passing, doing that makes you think about it. And I believe in energy. It is scientifically proven that we give off like a level of energy measured in hertz, and like, this is real shit.
Can I say that's what like attracts like is?
Right.
That's exactly
People
what
don't
it is.
understand the energy that they give off, right? So I was just browsing around for whatever, right? But on my vision board is something that I want. And randomly through this browsing came up this
manifestation,
deal, right? Randomly, I believe I created that. I believe that deal happened the exact way it was supposed to happen, because from that moment, I had a feeling that I now am going to run off of, because that feeling matches what I want. I'm not letting the feeling run me. I'm allowing the feeling to exist because of my passion. And so I went after it. But I wasn't going to go to this dealership and get robbed blind and let them walk all over me because now I got to have it. No, I got exactly what I wanted. I got exactly how I wanted it. I got everything I needed to make it happen. And it's not because I got lucky. No, damn it. I created that.
I love that.
And you can try to take it away from me all you want. That's your problem. I don't care. I know the truth.
I love when people say, you're so lucky. Like, bleep this out. Get the out of there. Get the out of here. I'm lucky.
Right.
Yeah, I may be blessed, right? I may be blessed. I might be on a spiritual plane, and I might be in tune with my connections of my universe, and I might be going, but I am putting in 16 hours of action every single day.
Again,
that's not luck, ladies and gentlemen.
You don't get blessed because God pities you. He isn't like,
I want to be lucky
this
too.
This guy could use a Porsche today, so I'm just gonna boost his level up second, right?
It's like people sitting on the couch wishing.
I'm blessed because I created it, because God knows I'm listening to him right now.
There you go.
That's why it's happening. It's not because he feels sorry for me. It's because I'm on a path.
I prayed for it long. Well, I don't know. I guess prayer is not a, prayer is a form of manifestation.
Look, here's the bigger problem I feel with prayer is that people only pray to God when they want something.
True.
I don't.
They call them Foxhole Prayers.
You want to know what my prayer is every night? Thank you.
Amen.
Thank you for another day. Thank you for allowing me to live in this space. Thank you for all of the things that are happening in my life right now, because you've guided me down this path. That's it. Be with all those that are struggling. Amen. Good night. But it starts with gratitude.
I love it. I will say there is power in prayer.
Oh, 100%.
But here's the thing. And here's why I say that, because it's just like what you just said a minute ago. Prayer is focusing on a subject and focusing on it long enough to whereas when you focus on a subject, the next thing you know, that subject is going to pop up on your phone. Or, you know what I mean?
Where you place your focus is where you place your energy.
In a way that just like the Porsche just seemed to pop up on your feed wherever you was looking. And that's called manifestation. When I think about something long enough and I think about it and I obsess about it and I start looking at things that are similar to that, like my life is going to go that way. Like attracts like. And that's why I say that. It's the most important thing in the world. Like attracts like. It's your energy and what you put off, and it comes back to you. And if you're a negative person, you're going to get back negativity. If you're a positive person, you're going to get back positivity. If you're a rude person, guess what? You're going to be around rude people. If you're nice to people and you're open and those are the type of people that's going to attract to you. It's just how it is. You're a magnet.
Here's the thing. You can call it luck, but without giving up too many details, I set a number. This is what I'm willing to spend every month, right? This is what I feel comfortable with, because I'm not going to go put myself in financial issues just to say I drove a Porsche. I could really care less. It's just something on my list because I think it's the last car company that I haven't owned. It's just the truth. I'm talking like Nissan, Toyota, you name it. I, at some point, have had every car company, and that was the one that I was like.
Can I ask you if you've had a Volvo?
Yes.
Shit. All right.
Okay. I mean, literally, like that was the last one.
Okay.
Okay. I'm 42 years old. I've probably had over 100 cars in my lifetime.
Impressive.
It's not like some of them were $2,500 Nissan 350Zs. Like,
get it.
Yeah. That's not the point. The point is, I, again, was just driven by cars. But again, so I had a number, right? So you can call this luck, but the number that I had to get for my trade-in had to be a certain number that I didn't know in order to get the number that I needed, right? So when I go down to look at this car based on the number that the car was registered for, then they're trying to tack on stuff because dealers are dealers, and I'm like, nope, don't sell me right now. I know what I want, or I'm going to leave. Let's make it this simple. And I didn't give him my number. I said, I know what I want. I want that car. I don't want anything extra. I've got everything else figured out. I've got the warranty figured out because it was used. I've got everything else figured out. If it matches what I'm looking for, you got a deal. And it was almost to the dollar.
You're so lucky.
But that's luck, right? No, that's what I mean when I say manifestation. And you people out there that are struggling with this, here is the reality of manifestation and where people get it wrong. They think if I just go stare at a board for 20 minutes and say a prayer, the world's going to change.
That's how it works.
Again, we're looking for something outside of us to change what's going on inside of us. You have to focus so hard, and manifesting is not easy. You have to genuinely believe when you look at that thing where you can close your eyes and imagine that happening for you. And when you can actually attach an emotion that you've created to it, this is where feelings come in handy. Your feelings when they're not serving you properly. When they're running your life, you've got a problem. When you're running your feelings, this is emotional intelligence, and this is what a lot of people have talked about and why things are working for people better than others. But you have to learn to believe that you can and will go get what you chase after, and you do not stop until you get there. And it's not going to be easy.
Can I say this? Like, you're not going to believe. I want to kind of challenge it a little bit. And it's just, I know you know this, but I want to do it for the viewers. Like, you're not going to believe that you can do these things. You're not going to have the belief that it takes to believe that, okay, say you want to start a business, or you want to get a Porsche. You're not going to have the belief in you that so strong that's required. So that's why I always say that action is the first step in belief. Well, you have to put in some action, and your action is going to compound your belief system to where you start acquiring these little goals, and you start boosting, you start feeling good, and you start boosting your own self-confidence, and you start believing like, holy shit, I can do this. And then that belief system gets so strong. But I always say you have to, like, there's a saying, it says, leap off the cliff and grow your wings on the way down. And I heard that. I was like, that's amazing.
So here is my rebuttal to that, and here's why. Because I don't disagree with you, first and foremost. That is definitely a way to do it. Again, we're talking about left-handed, right-handed. Once you jump off the cliff and you don't want to die, you don't got a choice.
You got to grow some damn wings.
Right? So I agree with that method. However, there is, for those that struggle with that courage, what I encourage you to do is take a moment to close your eyes and imagine it to the point where it almost feels real, and don't stop doing it, because at first it's not going to work. At first, you're just going to like imagine it. But
I used to call that scripting.
Like,
I used to do that.
Let's put it this way. When I left California, it was like, no marriage, not going to happen, yada, yada. Like, it was like, you say the word, and I had conversation with relatives, and I would get hot. Like, right? So I had to like sit there when me and my wife were dating and really imagine what that would look like and get comfortable with it.
I can't agree more.
And like genuinely have these very uncomfortable conversations of like, this is the way I want to live my life, and I don't expect you to abide to it. I'm just telling you the truth, and I want to hear the same thing. And if our paths align, then this will work. But if you're way over here and I'm way over here, but because we are attracted to each other, we're going to try to make this work, you're screwed. Mm-hmm. So let's get down to the bare facts. This is what I want for my life. When I want something, I'm going to go get it. Or when I'm 75, I'm going to resent you like there's no tomorrow.
True story. I love it.
So I like to live on the edge. I like to take risks. I like to do things. This is where we were different, where she doesn't. And I said, that's okay. Just don't stop me from doing it. You don't have to. Just don't be that no because of me. I will never tell you no. You want to go do, I don't care if you're like, I want to go buy a $6 million mansion. I don't know how we're going to afford it. Call the bank.
Figure it out.
Call the bank. We'll figure it out. That's where I'm at.
I'm hoping you get a better job and
I don't
win
care.
The lottery.
Like if that's
we'll figure it
takes,
out.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like that's the way I live my life. And so that's the way I wanted to be. But what I mean is like, if you were too scared to jump off that ledge, then imagine it until you get the courage to feel like you can jump off that ledge. So this is what I tell people that are afraid of swimming.
Don't wait too long, though.
When I tell people that are afraid of swimming, it's like I want you to sit there and live in the uncomfortable space of imagining swimming.
Imagine all of it. Imagine the way the water tastes. Imagine the way...
I even recommend they get in a bathtub while they imagine so that they can feel the water without freaking out.
Well, I used to call this scripting, and a lot of people call it like, playing out every scenario. I used to call it scripting. I did this so much, but like I started scripting my life in my last stint in jail. I spent a year in the county jail, which if you've ever been in the county jail, a year is an incredibly long time. Mm-hmm. I'd rather do 3 years in a prison than a year in a county jail. I would, absolutely. Hands down. But I basically every night I would lay in my mat for hours and I would just script some of the things to the finest detail of the stuff I was going to do when I got out. And and not only do I script it, I script conversations. I script, making
I just
amends.
call that talking to myself because I do it all the damn time.
I don't know. I just came up with that word scripting. You know what I mean? Because I literally.
No, I meant just that part of it. Because my wife caught me one time. She's like, "Are you on the phone?" I'm like, "Nope, just talking to myself." And she called me because she was following me, and she was like, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm like, "Myself." Duh. I'm like using my hands, and I'm like getting into it. Like I'm talking to myself. But anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
But that's what when I script a certain scenario. I might do that for weeks or a month or who knows. And what I would do is I would script every possible scenario of how it would play out. And that way, when it did play out in any possible scenario, I would be, I would know how to respond. First off, I would know how to, my expectation. Like if you got one set expectation and it doesn't go your way, guess what? There's where your resentments start building. But when you got 14 different expectations, like, I'm shooting pretty good dice here. And I'm like, and I know how to react to each one of those expectations. So it was by far one of the most profound things that I practiced that I didn't know that I was even, I didn't know it was a thing, but it has helped me and it's helping me today.
And this is just simple, like in a layman's term, it's imagination.
Yeah, sure.
I'm just imagining every possible outcome to get over the fear of what could, should, or might happen. Right? Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to go ahead and get over my fear by playing this out. Because, again, when you play it out in your head, it always seems worse until you play it all the way out. And then you think about the variables and the different paths that you can go down this road because it's always worse in your head. And so then something happens and it's way easier. Mm-hmm. And you're like, man, I was playing that out in my head way differently.
we're known to do that type of shit
all
too,
the time.
right?
I still do it. I still struggle with it.
Like, holy shit, that was incredibly easy. I can't even believe I was stressing on that,
But if you're feeling depressed and you're really struggling with some things, I would implore you to, if you think you have a medical condition, don't just go talk to a doctor. Don't go fill out a survey. Go see a real
psychiatrist,
like neurosurgeon.
Maybe even that.
You can look up the Amen clinics. I believe it's AMEN, and he is a strong believer in like actually getting your head checked. And what I mean is like don't fill out a form based on how you're
neurofeedback
today. Like you literally get your brain scanned.
Neurofeedback.
And they check for dark spots and a lot of different things and blood flow and brain activity to really be able to tell if there's something you need medication for or we need a lifestyle change.
Generally what it is right there. Lifestyle change.
Right now that sugar is one of the worst things.
Or I'm going to say this even further, high fructose corn syrup.
Sugar.
Well, a lot of people don't think that though. They look at whatever they're looking at and the number one ingredient on anything is what it has most of.
Yep.
And most of you people are eating and drinking something that says high fructose corn syrup, or you're feeding it to your children. No, it does not, by the way. This does not. It has zero of that in it. I would rather you have sugar than high fructose corn syrup. Absolutely.
That's just a different processed sugar. Now, again, there are positive sugars when you get into like strawberries and all these other fruits that are positive sugars, but an excess of them, I think watermelon doesn't even have calories if I'm being real. Like watermelon's pretty interesting.
So I eat lots of watermelon then.
Watermelon's good for feeling full, but
why'd I make that weird?
I don't know.
Chris, what'd I do?
I think we have a new fetish.
This is my radio voice.
I was using Chris's radio voice.
Okay.
Hello, my name's Chris Cobb. Chris Corn off the Cob.
So if you're feeling depressed, I would recommend first and foremost, if you're that concerned with it, if it's serious enough, go do something about it. I think Chris
got up so that when I told him, so we might have to talk with Chris after this.
Again, I'm not a doctor yet. I don't know that I ever will be. I don't know if that's.
No, at the end of the day, what I implore people to do is when most people won't listen to me. I deal with the people that are close to me who go through this depression, and I'm like, well, do me a favor. At the end of the day, or while you're going through the day, which most people won't, at the end of the day, write down everything that you did and write it on a piece of paper.
Don't type it, write it. Don't put it in your phone, write it. There's a reason why you write it.
There's a pen to paper. Write down everything that you did, and then write down everything that you would have wanted to done, what you would have wanted to accomplish in a day. And you can go big. You're like, oh, I wanted to climb a mountain today. Well, come on. Okay, so first off, you want to climb a mountain? Okay. Well, today you could have went and bought gear. Today you could have researched which mountain you want to go to. Today you could have checked your bank account and seen if you could make the flight out there.
Or just go climb a mountain and see what happens.
Or maybe you go practice climbing a mountain by going to one of these rock wall or, go do that. But I'm just saying, like, we're humans. We have dreams. We're capable of great, amazing, just phenomenal things. Shit we've never could imagine that we could do or that we could have done, or we really believe that we can't, but you are capable of doing amazing things, and all we want to do is scroll and watch TV, and I worked 8 hours, I'm tired, I don't give a shit. If you want to work 8 hours and say that you're tired and you're good for the day, then that's what you're going to get. But if you want to work 8 hours, get home from work, and work 6 hours on something, a side project, on your future goals, then you're going to get somewhere. I mean, you gotta pay your bills. You got tuition. You got mortgage. You got all. But what do you want to do? What do you want to do? Right, first step. Write that shit down.
And again, I'd laugh at these people when they feel like money fixes everything. Like, that didn't happen. Like, me buying that is not because I'm rich. It's because I was smart. Okay, I'm not a big fan of college, so I don't have student loans. And guess what? I make more money than most of my friends that went to college.
I know a lot of friends went to college that are waitressing right now. Like, you went 4 years in college?
Got people with degrees that technically have to listen to me.
That's a kick in the teeth, ain't it?
It's our society and the way we teach people that's the only way you're going to get anywhere. And again, this is somebody outside of you telling you how you get to live your life. For me, I was blessed in the fact that when the career counselor came to school and said, this is the only way, I was like, question. My dad didn't even graduate high school, and he makes more money than all of you put together. So I'm fact checking you right now because I know it to be true. So I've got a question because you're telling me that's the only way, yet I happen to know that that's not. So again, I had a different belief system that was luckily instilled in me. I even call him that luckily because I was blessed that my dad was just driven in that way, and I saw that with him. Now, parts of the family feel like that wasn't right. I love my father. I think my father is one of the most amazing individuals on the planet because he did everything he did out of love. I'm just trying to provide for my family because I feel like my path was basically where he was at. That's what he did. Right? And so then the whole world flips upside down on him, and he's all right.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, again, when you believe, and again, we're talking about money, right? He went from having it all to losing everything, and not a thing has shifted in the way he acts as a human being. Why? Because that's not what makes him better. So when you talk about, I got all these bills to pay, why? Do you need a house that big? Do you need those shoes? Do you need that car? Why are you wearing $600 shoes?
Hey.
No, if you can, do it.
Okay.
But if you have a different passion.
Oh, and that's the thing, too. Don't get me wrong. I love money. I love having things. Look, man, I was broke as shit my whole life. I grew up in a trailer. I grew up, and then I got into addiction. I slept outside most nights. I came from nothing. So if you can acquire some things in your life, that's awesome too. But it's not going to. I don't give a shit.
I'm the asshole driving the Porsche outside. I can only say so much. But
right, you know what I mean. And that's the thing is like it's not going to. We say this a lot, like if your end game is because I want to do this, this, and this because I want to make money. First off, you're doing it for the wrong reason, and second off, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. It's not going to stand the test of time because you're not doing it for the right reasons. Just like you said, your dad did it, and he did it for the love. And that's the difference in finding your purpose, because your purpose is rarely is your purpose going to be like, I want to make money. And if it is, you better do some self-evaluation because that's not your purpose. That's not what it's not going to wake you up in the morning. It's like I talk about inspiration and motivation. That shit's dead. Like, let's talk about discipline. And it's not necessarily because I just said it. If you go to work and you do what you love every day, you don't work a day in your life. And I can say that I work 16 hours a day most days, but I don't. It's just what I do because I'm in line with my purpose and what I do.
So again, there's people out there that like this is working for you, and playing devil's advocate. There's so many people out there, and again, I'm gonna role play this for a second.
Here we go.
Say, well, I have to do this because of this. Okay, let's walk through that. Let's reverse engineer that for a minute. Well, I have to work here right now because I got to pay my bills. Okay, cool. What about after?
Yeah.
Well, I have kids.
What is that?
Okay.
8, is that 10 hours a day?
Right. So,
Cool.
well, I have children. Okay.
All right.
I am a son of my father too.
Well, you hear this a lot too. It's like, oh, I wish I had time to go to the gym.
Do some push-ups in your living room while you're watching TV.
Mother effer.
Like,
you wish you had time to go. I guarantee you, if I told you I had $1 million for you at that gym, I guarantee you'd show up. So it's not about having time. It's about what your priorities are.
well, that's the thing. So people have a hard time finding what is my purpose, right?
My
That I
priorities,
think is
too.
the biggest thing is what is my purpose, and you don't have to have the answer right now.
No. Nope.
You need to spend time imagining things and trying things and be okay with failing because your drive wasn't deep enough. Because if your drive is deep enough, there is no failing.
That's your
you
purpose.
just go.
That's your purpose. Hyper-focus.
Because there's nothing that can stop you at that point. Like, this kind of stuff that we're doing is not easy. I got a full-time job. You're running a company. I got other things going on. I got certificates I'm working on. I got books I don't want to read, but I'm reading anyways. I got, a wife that I am still very present for.
Yes.
I have just found the time, and don't get me wrong, there are some Saturdays and some Sundays where I do nothing but lay on the couch.
Amen. Amen to that.
Because sometimes it's just like, I'm going to reset today. I know I'm at my limit. I need a minute to just reset.
Well, let's call that I deserve that. I want to do that. I've never sat on the couch all day long on a Saturday where I didn't choose to.
Right.
You know what I mean? I chose to do that.
Right. I did it because I knew I needed it, not because I felt like I had nothing else that I was driven by.
Yeah.
It was like, no, I need a minute because I don't feel like if I don't get it tomorrow, then I failed.
Let me ask you this. So, as well as there's weeks where you work all week, and that week for people like you and I is way more than 8-10 hours, right? That's an all day into the evening, into the night. I don't even get to watch a TV show with my woman or read a book that night because I worked. And then you have things that you planned on the weekend that aren't necessarily relaxation weekend. So you worked 7 days, and then I feel like that one day a week where I take that time, or maybe it's once every 3 weeks where I'm just like, I'm sitting here on this couch today, and I'm gonna watch some TV, and I'm gonna eat some food, and I'm just going to not think. I'm not going to. I'm going to answer the calls that need to happen. But I'm not going to do anything. Like, when you don't do that for like 3 weeks, you don't have that day, you're just like, man. By the end of the third week, you're just like, there is nothing stopping me from doing that today. Well, so and I'm going to be okay with it.
In the dieting world, they call it like a cheat meal.
Okay, that's what it is.
Like sometimes you just got to go splurge on a cheeseburger and some fries.
And a piece of cake, man.
Whatever. And it actually is healthy for your metabolism because your body has now gotten used to a certain thing and you need to shock it with something to wake it back up. And sometimes shocking it with something is not moving. Mm-hmm. So that it can just rest and reset and you get this new focus about it. These people, where most people get burnt out is they feel like if I don't get there tomorrow, then I've lost, I've failed. And so they run and run and run like a horse. And a horse will run itself to death because it doesn't know any better. So if you don't know better than to stop and get rest when you need it, and understand that that's just one more day. You weren't going to get there tomorrow anyways because this is about a journey, not about a finish line. Because if you're just about the finish line, then once you get there, you're going to be disappointed.
I think and I work in mental health, I work in addictions, and burnout is a real thing for us because we don't have a 9 to 5, the majority of us. And if you do, and you work in addictions, I laugh at you quietly.
Except for just now.
But it isn't and what is a trending thing for the last year or two is what they call self-care. It's a trending word. And while I understand it, and I'll take that day that I need it, and some people, we even got what we call mental health days now.
I know.
Kids have that in
They're
grade
in the
school.
military too, where you can actually pull out a stress card if you're feeling too stressed out. You signed up to go fight in a war, and I'll tell you right now,
it's going to be stressful.
there is no timeout when you're out.
Hold on a minute. Mental health day.
I'm stressed. Stop. Don't point that way for like 10 minutes.
But
yeah.
it's a trending thing, right? This self-care. And great. Awesome. But don't get too hung up on that shit because a lot of you like to take that too far. Oh, it's self-care. How many self-care days have you had this week? Well, 5. It's a little much. Now, you may need a self-care hour. I'm all for that every single day.
If you want to take 5 self-care days, I could really care less.
Just
don't tell me your stories about how bad your life is.
There you go. All right. I guess that's where I was heading with it. Like, don't tell me you're not getting the things that you want. And I ask you. And
like, if you want to lay on the couch for the next 6 weeks, I personally could care less because I don't know you. I don't got to deal with you. I don't got to feed you. I don't care. It's not that I'm not empathetic. That you're not my problem. I have enough of my own problems to deal with. You are not one of them. You are your own worst enemy. You are your own worst critic. You are all of your own problems. Stop blaming everybody else for it. Stop acting like everything outside of you is what has caused you to be depressed. Well, I'm sorry, but unless you have an actual medical condition, you did it to yourself.
I have a Post-it on my mirror in my bathroom. It says, it reads simply, you are looking at the problem.
Yep.
And it also says you're looking at the solution as well. So I read that every day as I'm brushing my teethers.
So that's the thing. When people say to me, what's wrong with me? What do you think is wrong with you? Not what people have told you.
Yeah.
You justify to yourself, really, but you can tell me the story since you're asking me what it is. I want to hear it from you. Mm-hmm. So when you are wondering what's wrong with you, ask yourself that. Don't take what other people have said to you. Are you too fat? Why? I mean, genuinely, I don't care if you're fat or skinny or what. I don't really care. That if you are happy with whatever weight you are at, whether it be skinny, fat, in between, that doesn't matter to me. That really doesn't. If you're happy, I could care less.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
So,
ending.
The point of all this is focus on yourself and don't allow others to dictate your life. If you're depressed and you really think it's a medical condition, go get real medical help. Don't go fill out a form and go think pills are going to fix your problem because they're not. And then what happens is pharmacy gets broken into or we lose our supply. And then you got this big ass problem because you're believing that the pill is the only thing that's going to fix you.
Pharmacies get broken into.
Oh, yeah. One recently around here.
Guys, have a wonderful week. Like and subscribe this page. Send it out to your friends. Let them know that we are Talk Hard Podcast and not Talk Hard Radio.
Right.
Yet.
I like to tell people you're not broken. You're just a little battle worn, and that's okay.
That's all right.
Keep going.
Push.
It could always get worse, so expect it to get better, and let's just keep moving forward. And if you actually need some help, reach out. If I don't know somebody, I know somebody that does, and so does Marty, and we are here for you, and this is what we do, and we're just trying to share and spread the fun words of the truth.
Bam, baby.